Hello guys and girls, and welcome back to another episode of Seb Talks Sports, sponsored by Hoopin and Luton, the place to go to for your favourite new and vintage jerseys and apparel from all things basketball. My guest today on Seb Talks Sports is from an interview I recorded in 2020 with a former NFL cornerback who had some great stories to share from his time in the league. From his college career at Virginia Tech before being drafted in 2011 to sharing the field with some of the greatest players in recent NFL history, this man enjoyed an impressive professional football career before eventually retiring after a stint on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the CFL. It's former Texans and Eagles player, Roc Carmichael. Enjoy! My guest today is a former NFL cornerback who spent multiple seasons in the league, playing for the Houston Texans and Philadelphia Eagles, alongside some of the best talent we've seen in the modern game. It's a pleasure to welcome Roc Carmichael to Seb Talks Sports. Roc, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing great, bro. Thank you, man. Great introduction.
No worries, man. Thanks very much for coming on today. Let's go right back to the beginning. So, what are your earliest memories of playing football, and how did you end up becoming a cornerback of all the positions?
My earliest memories for me would be just growing up and kind of training with my dad, learning different positions, running routes, throwing the ball around. And I actually grew up an offensive guy, playing receiver, running back. I kind of got to Virginia Tech, and the receiver room was pretty much full, and they needed defensive backs. So, they asked me did I want to play defensive back. Well as Chancellor, he came to school as a quarterback, and they, pretty much moved me to corner, and they moved him to safety. How it happened.
Okay, so in college at Virginia Tech, you were a two-time ACC champion in 2008 and 2010, led by Tyrod Taylor, your quarterback. Obviously went on to have an NFL career as well. How much of a leader was Tyrod Taylor at college, and what was he like behind the scenes?
Oh man, he was always a professional. Me and Ty, like you said, we kind of grew together. As well as a lot of other guys there. Jason World, Cam Chancellor, Moncho Harris, J-Ron Hosley, Kyle Fuller was a young guy on that team. Bunch of guys, man, and Ty just, he was a five-star kid, so he had that mentality. He had that approach to the game where, off the field, he was always, the first guy to be doing the extra work and the last guy to leave type of attitude. So, that definitely helped us out, man. Great guy, I'm still in contact with them, now at Virginia Tech Brotherhood forever.
Good stuff. That's great to hear. Okay, so let's go to your drafting moment. So it's 2011, the NFL draft. You're sat there in the fourth round, and then your phone rings, and it's Texans GM Rick Smith. So can you describe just what you were feeling as you answered the phone and got picked up by Houston? What did it mean to you and your family?
Honestly, I was at my younger brother. He played for Towson University. He had a spring game that day. I didn't watch any of the draft. I was at that game. Yeah, I got the phone call, and honestly, I was kind of upset. I was upset that I went fourth round. I feel like my numbers and everything I did was better than where I got drafted at. So I kind of came into it with a different mindset. I worked hard to get, certain numbers, interceptions, tackles, things like that. Coming out of college, I think I might have had 20 passes out of 130, only 20 completed, and that was like the best passer rating in college football. And I just went and competed with everybody in the Senior Bowl, and I still got drafted after else did. So I kind of was upset at that. I remember being at the Senior Bowl, and whoever was running the Senior Bowl at the time, he told me that I was going to be the last guy at the Senior Bowl to get drafted, told me a lot of negative things, and they end up coming true, So there's a lot of stuff that go on behind the scenes that people really aren't privy to, So honestly, when I got the call, it was like I was upset.
It's kind of like an about time, and you obviously went into the league with like a chip on your shoulder, proving people wrong.
At that moment, it wasn't even that anymore. I felt like I had already proven my point, did what I needed to do. Like I said, I was a combine guy, I was a Senior Bowl guy. So at that time, it was more, I really had gave up. Like I was just playing, just being there just to be there. I wasn't really studying anymore. I wasn't doing any extra workouts. I was just going to practice and coming home. When you make it all the way to the Senior Bowl from a one-star kid, now you up here with all these five-star kids that you've been watching your whole life, and the guy at the Senior Bowl tell you to your face, it doesn't matter what you do. Those 4 or 5-star kids still gonna get picked before you. It kind of do something to you mentally. I couldn't put my all into a game that somebody else controlled. I just really hung around so I can get the retirement check.
Okay, so you've played with some of the greatest players in the recent history of the NFL, like J.J. Watt, LaShawn McCoy, LaShawn Jackson, Zach Ertz, Brandon Graham, Patrick Chung, some really, really big names there. But who would you say is the best player you've ever played with? And as a cornerback, who was the hardest receiver to cover?
Best player I ever played with, Michael Vick. Best receiver I ever checked, Deshaun Jackson and Dwayne Harris, actually. He was a return man for the Cowboys for a while. He was running a lot of returns there. In college, he played at ECU, and me and him would see each other. We would play each other every year, and I end up covering him, like 3 years in a row. And like I said, it was the toughest matchup I ever had.
Okay, so let's talk about coaches quickly. So you played under some great minds in Gary Kubiak, Wade Phillips, Vance Joseph, Chip Kelly, some really, really intelligent football minds. How much did you learn from those guys, and how much did they impact your game in the secondary?
A lot, man, but honestly, I gotta say, before I give those guys the credit, I gotta go to Bud Foster from Virginia Tech. If you know college football, Bud Foster is a legendary defensive coach there.
Yeah.
And, Virginia Tech is led by him at this point, and I think that's why the program it is how it is. When I was there, he was the main guy, and Bud really helped my IQ, of understanding football. So when I got to getting up under guys like Kubiak or Wade Phillips, it was easy to translate. I kind of could understand what they were asking for because playing for Bud Foster, I feel like that was more of my test, and that prepared me for the NFL mentally.
Okay, nice. So I want to talk about Nick Foles very quickly. So he obviously led your team in 2013 once Michael Vick went down and took you to the playoffs that year. What was it about Nick that made everyone love him and get behind him? And how much did you enjoy that year with Foles at quarterback?
Nick, man, he just was a team guy. We noticed I don't want to say greatness, but we noticed the poise he had at quarterback. I remember that one game, I think it was against Green Bay, where he threw for like 7 touchdowns. Vick had got hurt. Green Bay or the Raiders, I can't remember. But he threw for 7 touchdowns, and, it kind of everything changed for him at that point. But Nick has always been Nick, man, a great guy, a player guy, a stay out there, do some extra work with you, help you out, whatever you need. And I honestly think the Eagles made a mistake with getting rid of him. I think Carson is a great quarterback, but I think Nick was their guy.
Obviously, as well as Nick, we've talked about Michael Vick very quickly, and he had a lot of Pro Bowl years earlier in his career, of course, and he was still a talented quarterback, and obviously well known for his rushing ability. How much of a leader was Michael, in the locker room and on the field? And in your opinion, because we know him for his rushing ability, what was the most impressive part of his game?
The IQ, the NFL game, you see a lot of physical things, that's what we can see, but it's really, a chess match. And Vic, he understood, a lot of defenses. I saw him, complete a lot of balls in practice that was like dang near impossible. It was like, that was when he was just coming back, getting his new start. Like I said, I saw them throws. You remember the old Michael Vick commercials? He would throw it out the stadium or something, and it would be crazy. I witnessed him make those kind of throws and also make some great runs too. Like I've been on the sideline and seen him make great highlight runs. But overall, like I said, I would say his IQ. And as far as him as a leader, like I said, he's another Virginia Tech guy. So immediately when I got to the Eagles, he pulled me under his wing. And I remember the PlayStation 4 was coming out at the time, and he had a couple extra. He gave me a new PlayStation 4 like before it had dropped.
Okay, so we're going to end with some quick fire questions. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Twitter or Instagram?
Instagram.
Biggie or Tupac?
Ooh. I can't. Both. I got to say both.
All right, I'll give it to you. Favorite sports film of all time?
Friday Night Lights.
Ooh, nice. Good choice. Okay, and obviously we've just had the last dance, so I'm going to ask you, MJ or LeBron?
Mike, man. Crazy.
Nice one. Roc, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being on. Where can people find you on social media?
Oh, man, yeah, definitely. Check me, my Instagram, Baffin Ain't Easy. Bino is kind of crazy, but that's like my nonprofit, Bless All People. So just check the hashtag, Bless All People, and, you'll find me, see me training kids, helping out with the community, doing a lot of mental health work right now with the COVID and the riots and all that thing. So.
That's great what you're doing. I'm going to make sure to leave your links below so people can find you easily and check that out.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
That was my interview with the brilliant Roc Carmichael, an insightful man with some great stories from his days as an NFL player. From entering the league with a chip on his shoulder as a 4th round pick to receiving a brand new PlayStation 4 from his teammate Michael Vick in Philadelphia, Roc has had quite the career both on and off the football field. And if you'd like to keep up to date with Roc and the brilliant work he continues to do with his foundation Bless All People, then you can do so by checking out his social media accounts below. All the links you need are in the description of this episode. I've got many more great guests coming very soon, so stay tuned right here on Seb Talks Sports. Catch you soon, guys.